Okay, so the support for this section is actually a lot of the same. It points out a few things that we didn't see in the regular college algebra. It gives the problem to you without, it looks like this. Let me just write it out. It says use synthetic division to divide. And then it says c to the third minus 7c squared plus 36c minus 14 divided by c minus 4. Okay, so the way it's given to you here, this c minus 4 is what you're going to be dividing by. But remember, this is, if it's in parentheses like that, that means it's the factor. We need to find the zero. So remember how you get from the factor to the zero to find the number that you're actually going to be doing the division by. You need to set this equal to 0 and solve it for c. So all that's going to do is really just change this sign, right? Because we're going to add the 4 to both sides to set c equals 4. That is the number that you put out here, is the positive 4. Then everything else is the same. I'm going to use these coefficients and do my synthetic division. So let's see, in front of c to the third is a 1. In front of c squared is a negative 7. In front of c is a 36. And then the constant is negative 14. And then do my synthetic division. So again, I'll drop down my 1. So 4 times 1 gives me 4. Combine this straight down. Negative 7 and 4 gives me negative 3. 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. And if I combine these, 36 and negative 12 gives me 24. So my last thing is 4 times 24, which gives me 96. So when I add this straight down, negative 14 plus 96 gives me 82. And this is the remainder. Now, here's the thing. When you do synthetic division, your answer represents something. These numbers all represent something. It's still going to be a polynomial, which is a group of terms. It's just, that's going to be my first term in the polynomial, and the answer is just going to start with one exponent less than this. So these are all the coefficients of the terms in your answer, and the first term is just one exponent less than this. So this represents 1c squared minus 3c plus 24, and then that's your remainder. Your remainder is 82, okay? Because these are multiple choice. So that's why the answers are looking like this, because all of these numbers that you get down here are actually the coefficients of the new group of terms. And you always just start the first term one less exponent than this first term was. Okay, so c squared minus 3c plus 24 with a remainder of 82 looks like A on those multiple choice. Right, number 2, 3b to the third plus 17b squared plus 19b minus 6 divided by b plus 4. So let's see, when we make our division, to do our synthetic division, in here, once again, it'll just be the coefficients. So 3, positive 17, positive 19, and negative 6. And remember, this tells me what I'm dividing by, but it's really going to be the opposite sign of this, right? Because if I set b plus 4 equal to 0, to solve it, I would have to subtract that 4 from both sides, which would give me the negative 4. So negative 4 is what I'm doing the synthetic division with. Same motions. Drop down your 3. Negative 4 times 3 gives me negative 12. Straight down, 17 and negative 12 gives me 5. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. So when I add this straight down, 19 and negative 20 gives me negative 1. And the last thing I have is negative 4 times negative 1, which is positive 4. So here's my remainder. Negative 6 and positive 4 is negative 2. So remember what these three numbers represent are the new coefficients of my new group of terms. And the first term is just going to be one less exponent than this first term was. So this will be 3b. So since that's a 3, it's going to start off with squared. And then your exponents just go down from there. So I'll have plus 5b minus 1. And then your remainder is negative 2. All right, number 3 does have something new that we haven't seen. When you're doing synthetic division and you start off with an a to the 3rd power, you don't want any missing exponents on your way down. If you do have a missing exponent, you're going to fill in a 0 for that term. Let me show you what I'm talking about. On number 3, you have a to the 3rd minus 9a squared plus 6 divided by a minus 5. So here's what I'm talking about with a missing exponent. I've got a cubed, a squared, but then I jump straight to my constant. I'm missing the term right in here. It's just an a. You see what I'm saying? So if you have a cubed and a squared, you have to have an a before your constant. So what I'm going to do when I do synthetic division is I'm going to fill in a plus 0a right there. So if you wanted to, you could rewrite this as a to the 3rd minus 9a squared, fill in your a. So you just have 0a plus 6, because you have to have this 0 right here when you're doing that synthetic division, or else your numbers are not going to work. So again, you're just filling in any missing term with a 0 for that term. So when I do my synthetic division, I'll use the 1. In front of a squared is negative 9. In front of a, there is 0. And then your constant is 6.
Miss Hanson, I think I missed a step. Where did the OA come in?
Because, so look what you started with. Here was the original problem, like that.
Okay.
So between the squared and the number without an A, you're missing something. It has to have every single term, right? All the other ones so far have not missed any. Like number 1 was this. If I start off with a 3rd,
Okay.
I have to go down from there. I have to go from 3 to 2 to 1 to no C.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? This one missed. It went from 3 to 2. It skipped this one and went straight to that.
Gotcha.
Skipping one, you have to fill it in with that missing term, which would just be there are 0A there.
Okay, I got it.
Okay, and then what are we dividing by? Again, if that's A minus 5, that means we are dividing by positive 5. You just switch that sign. And then add it straight down. So bring down my 1. 5 times 1 is 5. If I add this straight down, negative 9 and 5 gives me negative 4. Multiply 5 times negative 4 gives me negative 20. Add it straight down. 0 and negative 20 is negative 20. And your last multiplication is 5 times negative 20, which gives me negative 100, which means your remainder is negative 94. So let's see, what do these numbers here represent? This is going to be my first term in my new group of terms, and it's just going to start off with one exponent less than this. So I'm going to have 1a squared, then minus 4a minus 20. Now look at number 3's multiple choice. This is how they're writing their remainders. If you have a remainder, what you have left over is just going to be plus whatever this remainder is over what you had, what this is, what you're dividing by. So that's how that remainder, they can be, the remainder can either be written with an R and then whatever this number is, or it can be written as the next term of this, which would be plus whatever your remainder is over whatever this was. Woo. Okay, so let's look at number 4. Number 4 is another one just like this. All right, we got 6x to the 4th minus 21x squared minus 12 divided by x minus 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is look here and fill in anybody that's missing. So if I start off with x to the 4th, who should be next? X to the 3rd. That's not what's next, which means there needs to be filled in there and x to the 3rd. So after x to the 3rd comes x squared. Who should be after x squared though? There should be an x right here. There's not, so I'm going to fill in a 0x. And then the minus 12. So again, I'm filling in for x to the 3rd, and I'm filling in for x, because I'm going to need these zeros here when I do my synthetic division. So let's see, when I write out my synthetic division, in front of x to the 4th, I have a 6. After that, I need my x to the 3rd, so since it was missing, it's going to be a 0. After x to the 3rd is x squared. So there I do have a number, negative 21. Then after x squared comes x. And again, since it was missing, I'll just put in a 0. And then after x comes your plain number, which is the negative 12. So there's all my numbers. What are you going to put out here that you're going to do your synthetic division with? You're just going to change this sign from negative 2 to positive 2. And then do your synthetic division. So drop down your 6. 2 times 6 gives me 12. Add it straight down. 0 and 12 is 12. 2 times 12 gives me 24. Add this straight down. Negative 21 and 24 is 3. 2 times 3 gives me 6. Add that straight down. 0 and 6 is 6, and your last one, 2 times 6 is 12. So when you add that straight down, there is no remainder on this one. So let's see. Remember, these numbers down here are just going to be the coefficient of my new group of terms. In the first group, the first term is just going to start off one less exponent than this. So this will be 6x to the third plus 12x to the second plus 3x plus 6. All right, number 5. Two w to the fourth minus 12w to the third plus 61w plus 17 divided by w minus 4. All right, I'll pause the video for a second and let y'all work on this one. I always do that. So again, I filled in the missing 0x. My coefficients were 1, -2, 0, and -3. I changed the sign of that to -2. Drop down my 1. -2 times 1 gave me -2. When I combine these, -2 and -2 gives me -4. So my next step is to multiply. -2 times -4 is +8. Add that straight down to get 8. -2 times 8 is -16. So when I combine these, I get -19. Now, this one asks for the answer in kind of a different way. It says the quotient is blank and the remainder is blank. The answer to a division problem is your quotient. So these numbers are going to represent your quotient, and then that's going to represent your remainder. So when your quotient, you started off with one less exponent than this, so it's going to be 1x squared minus 4x plus 8, and then your remainder is -19. So that's your quotient, and that's your remainder. All right, 2 more. Oh, this is a long one. Number 7, x to the 5th plus x to the 3rd minus x. We're going to divide that by x minus 3. Okay, so if you start off with x to the 5th, your next term should be x to the 4th. So since there's not that, I'm going to fill in 0x to the 4th. After x to the 4th should be x to the 3rd, which there is. Then an x squared. So let's see. I don't have an x squared, so I'm going to fill in a 0 x squared. And then after x should be your constant, which is 0. So let's see. My coefficients are 1x to the 5th, 0x to the 4th, 1x to the 3rd, 0x squared, negative 1x, and then since you didn't have a plain number, you just put a 0 there at the end also. Change the sign of that to positive 3, and then do your synthetic division. So let's see, I'll just drop down my 1. 3 times 1 gives me 3. Add this straight down. 0 and 3 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So if I add this straight down, I'll get 10. 3 times 10 is 30. Add that straight down, gives me 30. 3 times 30 is 90. Add that straight down, I get negative 1 and 90 gives me 89. Ooh, what's that? 3 times 89 gives me 267. Add that straight down, that's going to give me my remainder. So my quotient, starting here, one less exponent than this. So let's see, that's going to start off with 1x to the 4th, and then down from there, plus 3x to the 3rd, plus 10x squared, plus 30x, plus 89. So that's your quotient, which this one even asks it a little bit different. It says q of x, that's where you just put your quotient, and then r of x is your remainder. Okay, so my remainder would be 267. All right, last one. S to the 4th minus 256 divided by s minus 4. So this one has a lot of missing terms, right? If I start off with s to the 4th, after that should be s to the 3rd. After that should be s squared. After that should be s. All that before I get to the plain number. So let's see, I've got s to the 4th. I don't have s to the 3rd, so I have 0 s to the 3rd. After s to the 3rd should be s squared. I don't have that either. So 0s squared. After s squared should be just plain s. I don't have that either, so 0s. And then your constant. So all 3 of these zeros are going to have to go in between there. So when I do my synthetic division, my first number in front of s to the 4th will be a 1. But then I have the 3 zeros that are missing. So I have 3 zeros and then the negative 256. Here's my number I'm dividing by. I just changed that sign to positive 4. And then go straight down. So I'll just bring down the 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 0 and 4 is 4, so I'll bring that down. 4 times 4 is 16. Add this straight down. 16. 4 times 16 is 64. When I add that straight down, I get 64. And my last one, 4 times 64 does give me 256. So I do not have a remainder on this one. These terms start one less exponent than this. So I have 1 s to the 3rd plus 4s squared plus 16s plus 64, and then your remainder is 0, which looks like that second option in the multiple choice. Okay, so that is it for the support for 8.3. So I will see y'all on Friday at 9. There will be support for 8.4. I will do it after the 9 o'clock class. We don't technically have a support class on Fridays, but I will do it, and I'll do it live. So if you wanted to watch, you can. You don't have to. You can always watch the YouTube video later in the Blackboard folder. Okay, but I will do the support for 8.4 on Friday right after we get out of class.
Ms. Hanson,
Yeah.
before you go, can you do that problem again for me? I've been having problems with my internet popping in and out.
Yeah. Okay, so it started off just s to the 4th minus 256.
Uh-huh.
Okay,